So for this mini geode, you will need to first prep your surface with gesso or any acrylic paint. I prefer gesso. And you also need to cover the back of the artboard with liquid latex. I use liquid latex. You can also tape the sides, but latex I find is quite easier to catch your drips, and you don't need any more extra effort to remove those resin drips. Then I take 3 colors of the same color family, or I would say the same tone. These are warm color tones. I start with gold in the center and bronze and pink red at the edges. This is to create an interesting cell pattern. You will see in the next shot. So I cover whole of the board surface with these colors. And now I blow the gold outwards. I blow gold outwards over the bronze and the red to create overlapping cells. These cells, this pattern is called an overlapping cell pattern. You'll see the cells here. Yes, and these cells do last. They won't die, don't worry. So these are called overlapping cells, and this is how you achieve it, by blowing the gold towards the other darker colors. Now it's time for the druzy effect. I take my druzy mold and fill up the cavity with the leftover, the resin that was dripping from the edges, and I will gently press it down my artboard. Yeah, and you can easily reposition at this stage when the resin is still wet. It's not hardened yet. And I press it gently down my artboard so that there's no place for bubbles. Now I leave it for some time the way it is, and you see how silicone is pushing resin away from it, and this creates this interesting pattern which you don't have to do anything. You just have to leave the resin and the silicone, and it just works like magic. So yeah, now it's time for some crystals and stones. Make sure not to cover all of your druzy with clear resin, because if you do that, the resin, the druzy effect will go away. So just wherever you want your crystals to be, just pour resin there. So yeah, and I'll also take some amethyst chips and gold leaf to accentuate my mini geode. What I do is I mostly cover the sides, to create a oneness. So yeah, to accentuate the sides is what I look for in most of my artwork. Accentuate my corners, I mean. Yeah, and I've dipped all of my chips in resin, so I don't have to bother about covering them again. And now it's the time to add some gold leaf to give some texture. And yeah, and after this dries up, I add 1 or 2 more layers of resin to create this glassy effect. We are done.